early on. Chiefs have signed. I, for one, am not necessarily impressed with Chiefs signings. I've said it on the show previously that I thought Chiefs would sign bigger players. No, Dr. Kuman waits for the ball, you give me the ball, or he fetches from you and he makes things happen. But we live in times now where when Rele does not make, it's sometimes I laugh. That's why I spoke about that whole thing, that people who use apps and all that, you're losing it. Because if you're going to check apps and say, I've seen it by calculator, how many kilometers a soccer player has run. I'm like, we are not doing running, it's football. I've engaged him as a coach when he was with the DDC, and he has a sharp football mind. I think if that is true, it's beautiful, because then he's going to grow. I mean, can you imagine him learning from Bramandla Ngigasi and what's his name, Owadu. Nasreddin Nabi is clearly staying, which is also something that I think, I don't know, a lot of Chiefs fans are not going to be sure about. Some will be happy, some will not be. The coach did.
South Africa's most successful soccer writer.
You Pirates fans were looking for Rulani to come. You guys are unrealistic. Rulani Mukwena, Pirates.
3 times winner of Premiership Soccer Writer of the Year and 3 times winner of the Sports Writer of the Year.
So Kaizer Chiefs are going to win the league, I think. I mean, hey, Kaizer Chiefs scored 2 goals in Holland the day before yesterday. They lost the match though, 2-1. Kaizer Chiefs scored an own goal. Dylan Solomon scored an own goal after Reef Frosler had opened the scoring against Vitesse in their preseason friendly. Now, welcome to Inside SA Soccer. I'm joking, Chiefs are not going to win the league. But yeah, they played a first match. I didn't expect that. I watched a bit. The streaming was not that very good, but the fact that Kaizer Chiefs scored first is exciting. I think it's work in progress very early on. Not really much to read from that. It's early. They are going to play 4 more matches. Will they do well? Nasreddin Nabi is clearly staying, which is also something that I think, I don't know, a lot of Chiefs fans are not going to be sure about. Some will be happy, some will not be. The coach didn't use all his new players. I mean, the fact that he had Reef Frosler playing there when there was Paseka Marco, we all expected maybe he'll give him that chance early on. But how are Chiefs fans feeling? I'm curious to hear from you. What do you think of how Chiefs did? Yeah, I'm here, Mdu. What do you think? I mean, you watched a bit of it.
Projects, these people are going to struggle again this season. I say this simply because the team they were playing, I don't even think that was like the third team of their team, right? They were playing against a young team, but those guys were all over them. Chiefs were losing the ball constantly in the middle of the park, and that's an important position on the field, because everything happens in the middle. You're the link to defense, you're the link to attack. So if you lose the ball around those areas, you are in trouble. And with everything that happened, Projects, I just want to ask you, do you think Coach Nabi is really interested in winning? He didn't play any of his new signings. I mean, he didn't try out his new players. He's continuing with the players that lost almost every competition they played in last season, besides the Nedbank Cup that they cheated to win. Well,
yeah.
But do you think this guy really is interested in winning?
No, listen, I think a lot of us as soccer fans, we make too much of a big deal about preseason matches. Preseason is all about building up. You're trying new combinations. Yes, he hasn't started, but remember, these new guys have just arrived. Chiefs have about 4 matches to still play in the Netherlands. He's going to give them all a chance. He's going to try. Nasreddin Nabi is a decorated coach. Yes, he didn't impress us last season, but he did well in Morocco. He did well in what's that place, Tanzania, when he was there. There was talk that they wanted him as a coach in Tunisia. So he's a coach. Why would he not want to win? I think he wants to win. He will do well. I think let's not be too judgmental early on. Chiefs have signed. I, for one, am not necessarily impressed with Chiefs signings. I've said it on the show previously that I thought Chiefs would sign bigger players. I did some interviews for the publications that I write for. I spoke to Farouk Khan, we all know Farouk Khan, former Kaizer Chiefs technical director, assistant coach. He led the junior teams. He worked at the academy. And he feels that Chiefs have lost it. Chiefs used to sign players who belonged to Kaizer Chiefs. You watched a player and say, this is a Chiefs player, in the mold of a Teenage Dladla, in the mold of a Sylvester Kule, in the mold of a McTovey or a Neil Tovey, a Lucas Khadebe, Jabupule. They've not really done that this year. The names that they've signed, we looked at, Ethan Chislett. A lot of us were very surprised by Chiefs signing this young man from England. Yes, he's from Devon. Chiefs signings, Pasika Marco, good player who played for long at Pirates, but injuries blighted his career, and it's almost like Chiefs said, Chiefs are taking Pirates rejects. A lot of people feel that way. But let's give them a chance. It's the season has not yet begun. We saw a bit, those of you who watched probably saw better. Like I said, my streaming was very poor from the match against Vitesse, but Chiefs are going to play FC Utrecht, which is a big team. They are going to play PEC Zwolle. They'll be playing FC 20. Those are big teams. It's preseason for everybody, so no one is going to go all out there to really win. Preseason is all about finding ways, testing new players, finding combinations. And I think after those 5 matches, Chiefs are going to come back. We all know they are playing the Toyota Cup. It's those kind of competitions. Here at home, we are one country actually that really takes our preseason very seriously. Over the years, I remember growing up, the Wisa Charity Spectacular used to be this 4-team tournament that got played, and Chiefs, Pirates were always in there, and whoever won that, you go into the season believing you can do well because you started well, you beat your arch enemies. So I think it's early on. Let's give Chiefs a chance. Let's see what they're doing. They clearly want to improve because they've signed players. Did they sign the right players? Just looking at them personally, I don't think so. But when you check them, Chislett played a lot of years in England. It doesn't matter, it's the lower league years. But we all know the lower leagues of England are very strong. So if a kid can stay there for as long as he did, it means there's something good with him. Shinga was in Portugal for quite a while. You don't go and play in Portugal, albeit in the lower leagues, and you're not good enough. The one kid I'm curious to see is Silva. They say he's Portuguese because he's from Guinea-Bissau, but he's got Portuguese citizenship. He played in what's that country? In Asia. And the name slips me. But the season before, they say he scored 30 or 33 goals in 45 matches. Now that's a lot. So the question is, was it a question of the league being too poor for him to do that, or is he that good? We will see when the season starts. Over the years, we've seen top names. I mean, Ranga Chivaviro, for example, he was a superstar when he played for Marumo Gallants. He moved to Kaizer Chiefs. He didn't do well. Actually, I've seen his leaving. But the fact that now suddenly there's a club in Tanzania that wants him, some club in Asia that wants him, talks to the fact that people have seen what he can do. So sometimes a player doesn't fail at Chiefs because he's bad. It's because Chiefs is such a big club that the pressure is so much that only the special make it. And I think that's where the challenge with Chiefs is now. They've lost that old Kaizer Chiefs way of recruiting players where they study them. I mean, I heard somebody saying Chiefs use an app to look at players, and you look at stats. Anybody can look good on those things, but does he have the mentality to play for Chiefs? Does he have the personality to make it at Chiefs? Because Chiefs fans, you know them. When you don't do well, they are going to be on your case. You need to have a thick skin to be able to survive that and know that I'm not doing well, but in time I'm going to get it, and they'll turn for you. But not many players can do that, and I think that's where we must be. I think for me, I'm giving Chiefs a season, not necessarily the full season, but they have to do better than they've done in the past 2 seasons. You can't be Kaizer Chiefs and not make the top 8. It's just not on. And if they don't, I don't know. I agree with what Farouk suggested, that Kaizer Chiefs need a proper relook at how they do things. They need to hire a proper technical director. Somebody who's been running, Sundowns have Flemingberg. I'm not a fan of Flemingberg. But Flemingberg has worked at top clubs. He knows his football. He might be signing, maybe, one of the things I didn't like was him getting rid of Mangoba Mngiti and bringing in a Miguel Cardoso, but that's a personal thing, a choice. But I think Flemingberg Chiefs need something like that. Somebody who doesn't have to be from outside. Get somebody who's from here at home who understands. Another thing I would do if I was Kaizer Chiefs is to add to the technical team somebody who knows South African football. The Chiefs technical team is filled with Nabi and a lot of players, coaches from, from North Africa. You want to bring in somebody who knows South African football, somebody who knows the history of Kaizer Chiefs, who knows what a Chiefs player can do. And I think if Chiefs did that, I've said this before, Kaizer Chiefs is the biggest club in the country in terms of support. When Kaizer Chiefs are doing well, South African football buzzes and there's excitement. And as people who work in football, we want that.
But Jakes, I just want to talk about this preseason thing. I think looking at how Kaizer Chiefs are out in the Netherlands, but they're not playing against the first team of the teams that they're playing against, right? Which then for me doesn't do them any justice, because when they come back to SA, they're going to play against much stronger opposition. I like the concept of the Vodacom Challenge, because I think both Chiefs and Pirates would better prepare for the seasons, because when they're playing a Man City, Vodacom I'll assume, would negotiate that they bring the actual first team of Man City. When Barcelona would come to play against Mamelodi Sundowns, Bo Messi were there. Mamelodi Sundowns built from that. And look at them now. So I don't think this preseason thing is doing them any justice for now, because these European clubs don't take them serious. They let them play against the third team. But Jakes, what are they going to learn playing against Intwana Tinaliboma 16? What are they playing Makel?
But why do you say they are not playing first teams? You said they've been there going before. Some of these clubs will use their first teams and maybe not the full first team. It's preseason. Everybody tries new players. I think one of the learnings that Chiefs will get when you go to Europe, it's a higher level. I know that you might feel they are using lower division players or second rate, but too often we know the standards are much higher. You're going to get competitive matches. Yes, in the past, maybe your Vodacom challenges worked, but think about it this way. Back then, there was a lot of sponsorship in South African football. There was money Vodacom would bring in. Then you can bring those big clubs. Chiefs are going to play Asante Kotoko in the Toyota Cup. That's the preseason match that they are going to get. I think there it's all about new conditions, trying patterns, trying formations, looking at your new players. Look, they have the money to go out there. We've said Europe is better. Why not? I get where you're going, but is preseason always about winning or not? I don't think so. Pirates are going to Spain. Are they going to play second-rate players? I don't know. I've never really checked exactly who they play, but too often those clubs also are in preseason, so they are also trying their new players. So there's always pros and cons, but Chiefs believe they are going to land in the Netherlands, and let's see how it goes for them.
Projects, there's a rumor in the streets that Orlando Pirates signed Ozwin Apollos as a replacement for Relebogile Mofokeng. You a seasoned journalist, Projects. You've been doing this for 30 years. I know you like saying that you're not an inside scoop journalist, but you might have the information. Is the president going to be serving his term elsewhere, or is he staying at Orlando
Who's the
Pirates?
president? Emma 2000. Listen, I remember I spoke to his dad recently when he hosted he did a family thing, nice event, played football with the kids there. His father said this is his last, which is true. He signed a 3-year contract with an option. Is he going? I don't know. Currently, we know he's staying at Pirates. I think he traveled with them to Spain. Also in Apollos, I feel Pirates are signing not to replace anybody in particular. Pirates are building for what is supposed to be a very big season for them. They want to depose Mamelodi Sundowns as the champions. They want to get into that. Pirates want to be the first team in South Africa to add a second star. They will not want to be overtaken by Mamelodi Sundowns. So I think also in Apollos is being brought in for that. Whether it's to replace Rele, I don't know. If Rele leaves, of course, they have a replacement. I honestly have not heard anything about Rele leaving. We've all heard everybody talking about there's interest there, but nothing has happened. The transfer window is still open. Anything is possible. If he leaves, yes, Pirates have somebody to replace him. If he doesn't, it makes it for exciting competition. Coach Owadu has a nice headache. Who does he play there? Does he play them both? Does he drop the other? We've seen at the national team level, Coach Hugo Bruce prefers Ozwin, who's much more experienced. But Rele comes in. He did his magic when we played Lesotho on Sharpeville Day. I mean, it was exciting. A young kid from Sharpeville making his full debut, scoring there. I don't know. I honestly don't know if Rele is leaving. I think a lot of us in South African football, maybe Pirates fans might not like to see him go, but he's a youngster the sun is shining for him. If there's an opportunity for him to go, he must go and go learn out there, whichever club signs him outside of South Africa. I think it's always good for South African football when our youngsters or our players go out and play overseas. So yeah, let's see how it goes.
Prajakes, another guy that you used to write about back in the days, Joseph Tugutugu Makanya. He was an exciting player. We've seen how well he's done as a coach, especially at the DDC level for Orlando Pirates. Promoted the likes of Mohang Kota, Rile Mfukeng himself comes from him, Bogazi, now this young man, Silepe. Apparently, he's been promoted to join Oduado's technical team. So he's going to be, I think, the third assistant. Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful thing. I like him. One of the I think the reasons he has stayed he's a sober-minded kid. I call him a kid because he's much younger than me. But he's always been very solid. I mean, if you remember the group that he came with, he was with Cheese Boy, he was with So, he was with Gift. And of that quartet, he was always the sober-minded ones. Not once have you ever had anything bad about him. I've engaged him as a coach when he was with the DDC, and he has a sharp football mind. I think if that is true, it's beautiful because then he's going to grow. I mean, can you imagine him learning from Bramandla Ngigasi and what's his name, Owadu? I mean, if you'll remember in the show I had with Yeye yesterday, one of the things we spoke about is the dream to one day see the Soweto Derby having coaches, black South African coaches, and how grand it would be if both those coaches are former players. That would be, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if 5-10 years later, Dugu is the coach of Orlando Pirates. I think it's good. I don't know who they will have in the DDC, but he's a good link to that. He's a product of Orlando Pirates. I think that's one of the things that we should, too often, and I know myself as a journalist over the years, I've been very critical of club owners in South Africa. We've seen players save the game and then we see them falling on hard times and the club's not doing anything, and I don't think they owe these players anything. But when you see a club taking care of one of their own who grew up there, allowing him to flourish as Dugu is, it's just beautiful that he is now going over to the senior team. It's beautiful. It's growth for him, and I think he is one of the brightest football brains we have in the country.
Another story, Prajakes, on the news right now is that of Napule Saleng. Orlando Pirates are out in Spain. They left him behind, and then in the morning we wake up to news that he's been loaned out to Orbit City, and he still has 2 more years left in his contract at Orlando Pirates. I think his contract ends in 2027. I stand corrected. Hey, Prajakes, how do you feel for Kisono, man?
Look, that's football, hey. The story someone Napuleng Saleng, I honestly, we don't have the insights exactly. What is it that has happened between him and the club? He now is at Orbit College, as you say. He's been there before, going back home. He's a good player. We all know that. He's done very well. But with football, it's exactly that. One wrong move, I don't know what wrong move he made, but whatever move there is, your career often sometimes ends. He's lucky his career is not ending. If Thunder Pirates are loaning him to Orbit College, it's up to him to make use of the opportunity. Go there and shine. It's what it is. We've seen players come and go. We had Vincent Pule moving to SuperSport United. He scored against Pirates in his first match. That's nice. When people say you are no longer good enough for us, you go somewhere. Go show them wrong. Prove them wrong. Shine and do well. So at least he's getting an opportunity to go play, because I think that what happened in the past season when he was just not playing, you train, you might get paid, but footballers need to be active, because if you're not playing, you're getting older, your legs just, they are locking. You have to play. So at least his career is not ending. Orbit College are coming into the Premiership, so at least he's staying in the Premiership, because there's been players who get sent to the lower division. Some just get stuck with the DDC of the particular team and not get to play. So it's good for him. He needs to just use the opportunity to play and show that he still has the talent that we all know him to have.
Another team that's been recently promoted to the PSL, and they've just announced the appointment of Kevin Hunt, Devon City. How do you see him doing their projects? I mean, given the fact that he was at SuperSport just before he joined them, I mean, he lost a lot of matches at SuperSport. Personally, I think he's lost touch. I think the game has changed, and tactically, he seems to have lost it. This is just my personal opinion.
Kevin Hunt is going to shoot you for your saying that. I spoke to him. I did a long interview with Kevin before he did that 1,000 match, and he was livid with everybody who says he's washed up, he's finished. And he says, that's what people say. It's football. Yes, football is changing. People play. There's tactics. There's, what do you call it? Analysts and all that. Kevin Hunt is old-fashioned. Kevin Hunt is all about hard work. I mean, he was telling me, he says, I want a player, a winger who's going to run on the right or the left, make that cross. Your teenage ladlers who are going to dribble on the side. And when you look at the history of Kevin Hunt, he's produced those. Your Dane Clade were those players, and then he'll have a big animal up front who's going to score the goals. People might not like it. There's a football brain. There's a guy who knows his football here in South Africa. I'm not going to mention his name, but he does not like Kevin Hunt. He thinks Kevin Hunt is very bad for South African football, because he's that coach who wants a football match to be played and we see what they're doing. Kevin Hunt, he feels, no, Kevin Hunt, there's no direction. But Kevin Hunt has won 4 league titles in South African football. How many coaches have done that? Kevin Hunt loves football. He's very passionate about the game. That's all he knows. He plays the way, he coaches the way. When he played for Hellenic, he was, your typical hard guy who's going to kick the ball. We win a match. The one thing about coaches like your Kevin Hunt and your Gordon Egerson, you can say whatever they want. The reality of football is there is no room for comment in the results column. The results will always say Kevin Hunt has won 4 league titles. He's going to go to Devon City. I can bet you now. So my challenge with what is happening at Devon City, I'm hearing that they might hire Ernst Middendorp as the technical director. I find Kevin Hunt and Ernst Middendorp are almost similar, but they are crybabies. They whinge a lot. They complain. I don't know if they'll work together, but if they can click, you are not going to see the nicest of football. That's for sure. But they'll deliver. Kevin Hunt is going to deliver. I know now, after what happened at SuperSport United, a lot of people, like you just said, you feel Kevin is washed up. You feel he failed at SuperSport. Kevin Hunt is going to want to make sure that we realize just how good a coach he is. He is not going to get to Devon City and fail like he did. Farouk Kadodia has been in South African football for a long time, the owner of Devon City. Farouk Kadodia spends a lot of money to run his clubs. He will want Devon City to stay in the Premiership. He doesn't want to get relegated. So what I think is going to happen is he's going to give Kevin anything and everything that he wants. And if Kevin Hunt gets the players that he wants, a lot of you are going to be saying, oh, but he signed, say, a Tyson, for example. Tyson Tlatswaye is too old. But Kevin knows how to use those so-called washed up or old players. And if Farouk Kadodia gives Kevin Hunt the players he wants, I can tell you now that we are going to be seeing Kevin Hunt's team playing. It's not the fanciest of football, but they are going to beat a lot of clubs and they can even challenge for the top 8. So I like Kevin. I think one of the nicest, he's a good guy. You know those coaches you can talk to? Yeah, he whinges a lot. Sometimes I laugh at Kevin. You watch a match and it finishes and he says, oh, we should have scored 5 goals. They lost 5-1 and he says they should have scored. And you watch it and like, which goals? So sometimes for me, he's one of the most colorful characters in South African football, and I like that we still have him. So I'm happy for Kevin, wishing him well, and I hope, he does well. It's Farouk Kadodia knows why he hired Kevin, and we are going to see it when the season starts.
But Jakes, why do you think a lot of South African teams, especially South African owners, rate Ernest Middendorp so highly? I mean, Mazinho.com is struggling, eh?
Yeah,
Like
I think that's one of the things I don't like him. As a person, he is very rude, very disrespectful. But too often, these guys who come from Europe are like that. I don't know what Ernst Middendorp does. Look, sometimes he says the things. I mean, you saw what happened last season when he was at Cape Town Spurs complaining about the referees. There he's right. I think one of the things he has is that whole, he's not afraid of anybody. He says what he says. What irks me is that he has not really done anything special for South African football. And I think I get very worked up when our club owners continuously keep these foreign guys who can't make it in their own countries to continue coaching. So yes, if I had my way, I would never hire Ernest Middendorp. I would tell everybody not to hire him. But they do. It's their clubs. He went to Kaizer Chiefs and did fairly well. But when you look at just about every club he's been to, he kills them. He relegates them. Somebody once spoke about Jose Mourinho being, when Mourinho goes, who was it? I was speaking to somebody who says it's like a tsunami. He gets there, he messes things, he changes things, and he leaves, and somebody else has to come and clean up. And Ernst Middendorp strikes me as somebody like that. But they hire him. And it's bad because there are South African coaches, born and bred, who are not getting the opportunities, and all these coaches. When somebody comes from outside South Africa, he has to be somebody who brings something special. Ernst Middendorp was given his chance, but I don't see what he is doing that special. But if he goes to Maritzburg, I wouldn't be surprised. He's worked, I call it Maritzburg, Durban City. When they were Maritzburg, he worked there with Farouk for a while. Farouk likes him clearly, so it's his club. I think the thing with South African football is exactly that. It's private owned businesses. Everybody does what they did. Many years ago, Black Leopards got relegated, and I wrote this article about David Tidiela and how bad he does for his club. And he called me and he says, hey, listen, brah, it's my club, it's my business. We say owners interview. He says, do you think I'm going to spend $1 million and watch a coach playing a player that I think is costing us? No, it's my business. So that's the thing with South African football. We can speak because we have the views and whatever, but there's nothing you can change. I don't own any club to say Ernst Middendorp shouldn't. But yeah, if I had it, he shouldn't be. I think when a lot of coaches have come, you had Vladimir Vemezovic, who came in. They come in 2 seasons, they do well. If they start failing, but the problem is all these clubs keep them. And if you think about South African football, a lot of times it's your Kaizer Chiefs, your Orlando Pirates who bring these foreign coaches, and then they stay on and they just don't go. So what do we do? It's what it is.
It is what it is. But Jakes, my other concern is this thing of selling of statuses by these teams. I mean, look at now, SuperSport United just sold their status to a guy from Bloemfontein. He changed it, now it's Suelele FC, rich history gone down the drain. What happens to the supporters? Do the supporters now have to find new clubs? I mean, we'd welcome them at Orlando Pirates, but what happens to the supporters?
Listen, ask me. So I grew up supporting one of the biggest football clubs in the country. And yeah, they don't exist anymore. I don't have a club that I support. I don't know how other supporters like SuperSport is a small club, really. The clubs that, like you say, as a Bloemfontein Celtic that died, there's a history. They supported that club. It's hard. If you love your football club, I don't know how you can move to another club. I can't. Like I say, I supported some club that died, and I'm not supporting any other club anymore.
All right, Prajakes, anything that you want to break? Any news stories?
No.
Anything? In your 30 years, any facts that you want to give us? Actually, I wanted to ask you this. We had a conversation yesterday, and I was curious, and I said to you, between Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs, which team had the most impactful players? I'm talking about players that we still talk about to date, players that have had a good run in the PSL. They've won a lot of awards and achieved a lot. I don't want to say legend because it's difficult to determine or define what a legend is.
You said PSL.
Yeah.
PSL. So when you say PSL, you mean like from 1996?
I mean, from when we started watching.
Yeah. Look, so when you guys started watching football, there was no football. What people were playing was just rubbish. Football ended in the late early 90s. That's for me anyway. But yeah, Chiefs and Pirates. Over recent years, I think when you think of the players who've made an impact, let me think. So you think Kaizer Chiefs? I think Kaizer Chiefs in my head says Dr. Kumalo, Thabo Moki, Jabu Pule. And then thereafter, there hasn't really been somebody who excited us and stayed for a while. Siyabonga Nomvete, but Siyabonga came around with Jabu Pule time, and he played quite a short while. Siyabonga Nomvete made his name really. And then you think Orlando Pirates. Orlando Pirates have produced exciting players. Gift Leremi. That generation, that team, Yabu Gift, so Cheese Boy and Dugu Dugu was just super exciting. You had Leslie Manyatela, you had OJ Mabizela, players who, some of those, OJ Mabizela is a legend. I think I've never seen a defender as good as OJ. I've covered football. I loved McTovey when in the 80s. I loved McTovey. I think McTovey was an incredible player. But OJ was a superstar. So yeah, Orlando Pirates. Recent years, you have Relemo Fukeng who excite. I think you are right. Hey, Pirates have produced players who excited us all. Whether you like it, Orlando Pirates, or you don't. In recent years, Chiefs have really struggled. Like I say, I stop at Jabu Pule, and then going after that, I can't think. No, I think Pirates have excited us a lot.
Spiwe Shabalala?
Spiwe Shabalala was a good player who's listen, you want me, you guys are getting me. Spiwe Shabalala was an okay player, good winger, did well. Spiwe Shabalala is a legend because he scored that great goal for South Africa in the opening match. If Spiwe had not scored that, he would be some footnote of sorts. Yeah, he played okay, but Collins Mbesuma played at Kaizer Chiefs, and Collins Mbesuma made a huge impact as a striker. So if you think Kaizer Chiefs recently, yes. But
Knowledge Musona? Knowledge Musona?
He was okay. He scored goals, but I wouldn't. That's what I'm saying. Kaizer Chiefs have not... The Kaizer Chiefs lost it somewhere, guys. There hasn't been... They've had good players. Yeye Lutsulonyan was a solid player. And Tlantla Kubeka, they were solid. But like I say, Kaizer Chiefs used to excite us. There was Teenage Ladla. There was Maria Lamola. Ace Ntsolengwe, for me, the greatest player that ever played football in South Africa is Ace Ntsolengwe. It's way better. I don't think there's ever been a player as great as people talk about Lucas Masterpieces Moripe, who died recently. I've not seen him. He came a little bit before Bra Ace. Steve Kalamazoo played in the 50s. We were not born. But the players that I have seen, I don't think there's anybody. No one can hold a candle to Bra Ace. Ace Ntsolengwe was Zinedine Zidane. Now, that's what Kaizer Chiefs produced, Ace. But after them, the standard kept dropping. Dr. Kumalo came in, and Doctor was a superstar. Doctor is... But you go, and then it's almost like as you go, it gets diluted. Yeah, they come in and shine, bujabu, as I say. But they're just good.
Stanton Fredericks?
Stanton was a good player, but no. That's what I'm saying to you, that Stanton played well. So Stanton came with that group. I know Stiga, and I cover them. Benny McCarthy. So with Stiga are big names. You know why? Not because of what they did at the club, but what they did with the national teams. Under 20, under Brashix, that whole team. Yabo Ace Mbutu, Daniel Matsau, Matthew Booth. They are... People will call them legends because of what they did with the national teams, not at club level. Stiga was okay. They were part of that team, the Chiefs team that won the Africa Cup Winners' Cup in 2001. It was called the Mandela Cup with Mohsin Edugral. They were a good team, but no, not even legends. Not superstars. Superstardom is, like I say. Listen, OJ Mabizela to this day. It's like it pains me that talent got wasted, because guys, that guy was like an incredible soccer player.
Teko Modise.
Oh yeah, now Teko was a superstar.
Now let's talk Pirates. Teko Modise, we agree that he was a superstar.
Oh no, he was. Teko just he was just unfortunate that they didn't win anything. And sometimes we judge you by that. I mean, you go with this Ronaldo Messi thing, and people will tell you Messi has won the World Cup, this one hasn't, and but Teko was a superstar. Teko was a superstar even when he was still at SuperSport. He just he went to Pirates, and because it's a big club. If you can go to a big club and hold your own like Teko did, you are a superstar. Now Donna is different class. I agree. He's one of those. Leslie Manyatela made an impact. So there are players who come in, and that's the thing. Sometimes we think to be a legend or to be a superstar, you have to be longevity. Sometimes counts, because if you can go 10 seasons like Braje, Jomo Sono, for example, those are people who played from when he was like 16, 17. I watched Braje play for Jomo Cosmos when he formed it. He formed in 1987 when he bought Dion Highlands. And Braje was big and fairly chubby, but he was still a superstar. It's longevity. That's why I remember last year when there was that whole debate when Braje spoke about Tito, and people felt Braje was being wrong. I agree with Braje. You should never mention Tito and Braje in the same breath. You are just, come on, it's disrespectful to Braje. So those are, but there's been youngsters who came in, your Chipa Lekwelia came in at Orlando Pirates. He started at Morocco Swallows as Steve Mutsiri, and those are, Chipa was a talent. A pity is, a lot of these players, what is said is that whole, what happens off the field that robs them and robs us of seeing them. You've seen this youngster, it's not a youngster anymore, Sipho Mbule, where everybody's saying, Sipho, give us what. I saw Linda Mtambo talking about it and saying he trains with him every day, and he says, this guy is a star. Sipho Mbule arrives at training and says to his players, I'm going to show you today, if you want to enjoy football, come and be on my side, because now we forget somebody. I've just remembered Jabulani Mendu. Now, Jabulani Mendu played for Kaizer Chiefs, SKL. He's a superstar. He's like your Sipho Mbule. So the challenge there is exactly that. He got to Kaizer Chiefs, and he comes from Cosmos, and they're like, who are you, Ram? But if at Kaizer Chiefs they had allowed him, we would have seen the best of that guy. But because he comes in at Chiefs, it's he's not from Soweto, so there's this whole dynamic that now, who are you? But he gets there. Those players who say on the pitch, he says, give me the ball. Your job is to get the ball. Give it to me, and I'm going to do that. That's for me, when we say people have made impact, so Jabulani Mendu is a pity they didn't allow him that much. So we're talking Chiefs, but he's one of those, and those are the kind of players that excite me. A guy who is very confident as well on the ball. I remember many years ago, 1994 FIFA World Cup, in the build-up, Romario de Souza Faria of Brazil, he was a striker, and Romario said to his teammates, they'd say, Romario is lazy because he wouldn't run. And he says, no, you are with the workhorses. Do the job, give me the ball, and I'm going to score. And he scores. And so the biggest challenge now, especially in South African football, is because the game has changed. You have all these coaches who come in and they say, no, you must be, they say box to box or whatever. You can't expect Dr. Kumalo to go mark the ball. No, Dr. Kumalo waits for the ball, you give me the ball, or he fetches from you and he makes things happen. But we live in times now where when relay does not make, it's sometimes I laugh. That's why I spoke about that whole thing, that people who use apps and all that, you're losing it. Because if you're going to check apps and say, I've seen it by calculator, how many kilometers a soccer player has run, I'm like, we are not doing running, it's football. So do you want doctor to, then when you don't, so when they check your stats and you've covered 2 kilometers, somebody has covered 6, they're going to go for the guy who was 6 because he's a hard worker. But what does he do? He can run around, win the ball, and lose it for you. Dr. Kumalo gets it once, makes a pass, we score. And but maybe I'm too old-fashioned. Football has changed, but it's that.
Hi, Jakes, thank you so much for your time. I think also one thing we have to give credit to Orlando Pirates for is how the season they've signed. And We need to congratulate them just
Orlando
before it
Pirates.
happens. They are going to win the league.
Ah.
And we are so happy. Like, thank you so much for the league.
Hey, this guy is so pirate. Congratulate Pirate to win the league. Let's see. Yeah, where will Mamelodi Sundowns be when they win the league?
Mamelodi Sundowns is going to be number 2. I mean, look, they're not even busy during this transfer window.
They don't need to be. They've got the players. They probably will be when they do. Remember how much money they got from the Club World Cup. So they can buy the whole Orlando Pirates, Mamelodi Sundowns if they want. But yeah, listen, I think we have an exciting season ahead, and yeah, let's keep looking forward to it. I'm very excited about what's going to happen. I agree with you. Pirates have signed some exciting players. Are they going to get them to gel and do well? Let's see. But yeah, fascinating season ahead. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.